Hi, everybody. Melinda Jacobs here, clinical hypnotherapist, intuitive coach. And I am coming back to you again today to redo this video. Yesterday when I did this, I was hit in the midst of it with a sudden onset of upset illness that made me have to cut this broadcast a little short. So I wanted to redo this because this is an important topic. So today we're talking about eating to address stress and boredom with the current situation with the virus. People are stuck at home. People are concerned, worried about income, about family members, getting all caught up in watching what's happening around the world. We are all under an exorbitant amount of stress. And with that also comes with the isolation, boredom. Some of us do not know how to be still. Some of us do not know how to be quiet and come out of our busy, busy lives and all of a sudden having everything stop and all of a sudden come into being. We have been so busy doing, and now we're being given the opportunity to just be. And for some of us, that's very, very, very uncomfortable. And for a lot of us, we have learned how to soothe ourselves through food, through eating. So we're going to talk about a few ways that you can take care of yourself and maybe step out of some patterns of stress eating to manage the stress, the fear, the discomfort, as well as the boredom. So we're going to start with stay awake and stay aware. I have the blessed opportunity to be coached and study with Cynthia James. Wonderful, powerful woman. And one of the things that she is constantly saying is we are here to be awake and be aware. And one of the, a number of years ago, I saw the movie War of the Worlds, Tom Cruise. I don't want to get into the cataclysmicness of that movie, but there was something very profound in that movie that I just absolutely loved, is that it was the scene where he and Tim Robbins were in Tim Robbins' house, and Tim Robbins was telling him that the people that survive are the ones that keep their eyes open. And to me, that was really the theme of stay awake, stay aware. That really, when we keep our eyes open, when we are willing to watch ourselves, when we're willing to watch our behavior, rather than getting caught up on what they're doing and what they're not doing, and oh my God, can you believe that's happening, and getting sucked outside of ourselves, when we stay awake and aware, we can watch ourselves, watch our behavior, and be very mindful and watchful for what's occurring. Absolutely. A couple days ago, I caught myself going to the kitchen multiple times throughout the day and staying awake and aware. I was like, oh, isn't this interesting? Oh, I can see what's happening here. Oh, I'm bored. I'm stressed out. I'm worried. I'm a little caught up in the anxiety of what's happening around me. And I'm looking to soothe that for myself. And so for me, staying awake and aware is recognizing when I'm in it, when I'm doing it. And so I invite you to put little stickies on your refrigerator that said, this won't help. It's important for us to stay awake and aware that stress eating isn't going to fix what's occurring here for ourselves. It's not going to resolve on a long-term basis that deep sense of unsettledness in whatever way you might be experiencing it. So with that, we then need to move into addressing the underlying feelings. We need to change the physiology. So one of the things that I think is amazing is I read this in a study. I don't know where it is anymore. I would love to put my hands on it again. But the study is that when we're having an emotion, but we're not naming it, we're not calling it out and claiming it, it's just under the surface, it's actually lighting up a part of our brain that also registers physical pain. So what that tells me is that we can have a very visceral, physical experience of our emotional upset when we don't name it, when we don't acknowledge it. And the moment we do, the moment we say, I feel scared, it actually changes the place in the brain that's registering it from the place that registers pain to a different place that's registering not pain, not physical pain. And so to be able to just stop and breathe before you go to the kitchen, before you grab that bag of chips, before you start snacking, to just stop and give yourself 4 or 5 breaths and say, I feel scared. And just breathe into it. Let it be there. And the really nifty thing about that is that when we're present, when we're awake and aware and willing to acknowledge the feeling, it will dissipate. It transmutes on its own. And so just stopping multiple times for the day, hold yourself. Deep breath. I feel scared. I feel anxious. I feel worried. I feel nervous. Whatever the feeling is. Scared is probably the easiest one for anyone to access. And even if you can't find a place within yourself where you feel scared, maybe it's coming in a way that's maybe feeling anxious or nervous, or you just feel numb. Underneath all of that, we can come to basic feelings of I feel scared. That is a very common basic feeling that is happening in the collective. And so to recognize everybody's having this kind of experience, we can come back to ourselves and just drop into it, acknowledge it, and let it dissipate. The other piece with this, and this is really where my skill set shines, is recognizing as an intuitive, as an empath, as someone who's highly sensitive, that we're all interconnected. We're all feeling the herd right now, and the whole herd is just doing this. This is what the herd feels like to me right now. Everybody's like, even though we're kind of all in our little homes and all kind of, our movement has gotten slowed down, quieted down. Energetically, this is what's happening. And so we can just stop. And again, it changes our physiology when we ask ourselves or tell ourselves, I release anything that's not mine to feel. And I release it to be transmuted and returned to its place of origin. Anything that's not mine to feel. I don't need to feel everyone else's fear and panic. I don't need to feel the worry about what's about to happen or what's going to happen in a month or two. I don't need to run that through my nervous system. That's not useful for me. And if you've ever seen a transformer get hit by a bolt of lightning, they explode. And that's our nervous system is the same way. Like, we're not really wired to run everyone else's feelings through our nervous system. And when we're not taking care of ourselves in that way, letting go of everyone else's feelings, we're going to look for a way to numb out, check out, because every time we eat, it lights up our brain. It definitely puts our brain into that feel good place. It releases chemicals, feel good chemicals, much like a high, which brings me to my last point, mindful eating. So this is where I get to lean into my addiction training of years ago. And one of the things that was so interesting is to learn that our brains naturally go through a chemical high the moment before we start eating. And it is at its peak when we're about to take that first bite, when we're hungry. And so we take that bite, and right before it actually goes into our mouth, there is an explosion of feel-good chemicals happening in our brain. Our pleasure center is being lit up. If we can ride the high and recognize the first 3 bites are going to be the most exquisite brain chemical high, that's a physiological thing that happens when we're hungry and we eat. Brain explodes. And the first most powerful moment is right before you take the first bite, and then it drops down the second bite, and then it drops down the third bite, and by then it kind of plateaus. If you know this is happening, then you can absolutely enjoy the high, the feel-good chemicals, because we need that right now. We need some feel-good chemicals in our brain. And so before you take that first bite, turn off all electronics and get present to what you're about to do. And before you take that bite, smell it, look at it, feel the temperature, be with that first bite. And as soon as it enters your mouth, just know that brain chemical is going to drop a little bit. Chew, 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 wash it through your mouth, feel the textures, taste the taste, feel the temperatures. If you can roll in that experience of that first bite, your satiation goes up and up and up. And recognize it's not the food, it's what's happening in your brain. And then the second bite, it's not going to be quite as exquisite. Still good, not quite. Third, definitely not as exquisite. Still good. And after that, flatline. So being mindful in our eating is we can absolutely acknowledge there is a physiological thing that's happening in our brains that we can absolutely enjoy. And by the third bite, knowing that that's done, it's over, that can really reduce the amount of eating that we're doing. I invite you to be awake, to be aware and present when you are eating. One thing that I'm doing for myself is I'm cutting out all snacking. I am absolutely intentionally coming into meals. I am eating a meal. I'm sitting down, turning off all social media, and I'm being present to my food, recognizing that this is what I do to nourish my body. This is what I do to nourish my immune system. This is what I do to enjoy all the good, feel-good stuff, all the while taking care of my emotional state throughout the day. This is a big topic. I could probably teach an entire day's class on emotional eating and how we check out, tune out. And what I'm just inviting you to do is to be awake, to be aware. Like Tom Cruise in that movie, keep your eyes open, watch yourself, pay attention to what it is you need. We absolutely need community right now. We need to get out into the sun and take in some of that feel-good vitamin D. We need to stay connected in whatever way you're doing that, social media, setting up Zoom and Skype calls, telephone, texting, instant messaging, whatever you're doing. Stay connected with the people that you love and that you care for. And just remember the ongoing snacking, it's not going to work. It's not going to long-term take care of those feelings. It's up to us to really support ourselves through this. Just trusting, knowing that things are working out for our highest and best. I know that is a hard concept, even for me to hold on to right now. And I choose to remember that Mother Nature knows best, that there is a way, there is something powerful, profound, and extraordinary happening through these very difficult, challenging times. It's my intention to set up a chat room where you can sit with me and we can chat about anything. If you're worried, if you're concerned, if you need some skills to manage your feelings, to manage being highly sensitive, it's my intention to set that up on a regular basis, a couple times a week, where you can sit and we'll have tea together, or we'll just sit and hydrate together. We'll sit and breathe together. We'll laugh, we'll cry together, whatever's needed in the moment. I will keep you notified when that occurs, when I get that set up. And then the last thing is that I'm absolutely here to support you. And I'm looking at finding a way that people can access me right now that is more of a flex paying way. I know everybody's incomes have been really dramatically shifted and changed. And so for that, I'm looking at changing it to make my services accessible. And again, once that's set, I will have that out for you as well. For now, you can reach me here if you need support, if you need clearing, if you need skills, if you need some tools to get through this, my beloveds, we are in this together. And I'm just knowing that we are being held in the hands of the divine. I know we're being lifted and called to be awake, to be aware, to be mindful, to be present, and to take care of ourselves in a deep and profound way. My love to you as you move through these next days, weeks, and months. And know that I am here for you to support you. Be very kind, be very gentle to yourselves, and I will see you very soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.